A Honda Pilot just rolled into my shop with 287,000 miles on the original shocks and struts. Not only were they still working, they were working better than the performance replacements I see fail at 60,000 miles on other vehicles. The ride was smooth, handling was precise, and there wasn't a single worn bushing or ball joint in the entire suspension system. The secret? The owner understood something most Honda drivers never learn. Suspension longevity isn't about buying expensive parts or fancy upgrades. It's about understanding how Honda engineered these systems and working with that engineering instead of against it. Honda suspension components are designed to last 200,000 plus miles when treated properly. But most owners unknowingly destroy their suspension through bad habits, poor maintenance, and misunderstanding what these systems actually need. I've been specializing in Honda suspension work for 11 years, and I've identified the exact techniques that separate the suspensions that last forever from the ones that need replacement every 80,000 miles. Today, I'm going to share the specific maintenance strategies and driving techniques that can make your Honda suspension outlast the rest of the vehicle. These aren't expensive modifications or complicated procedures. They're simple practices that Honda's own engineers use to maximize suspension life. Because when you understand how Honda suspension actually works, making it last forever becomes surprisingly easy. Let's start with the foundation that determines whether your suspension lives or dies. The tire strategy that doubles suspension life. Your tires are the first line of defense for your Honda suspension, but most owners treat them as an afterthought until they need replacement. Here's the reality. Improper tire maintenance destroys more Honda suspension components than any other single factor. Wrong pressure, irregular wear patterns, and poor quality tires turn every bump and pothole into a sledgehammer blow against your struts, springs, and bushings. The Forever Suspension Tire Protocol. Check tire pressure weekly, not monthly. Honda suspension is calibrated for specific tire pressures, and even 5 psi low puts extra stress on shock absorbers and creates irregular wear patterns. Rotate tires every 5,000 miles religiously. Uneven tire wear creates suspension imbalance that accelerates component wear. I've seen Honda owners extend suspension life by 100,000 plus miles just through proper tire rotation. Use quality tires that match Honda's specifications. Cheap tires with stiff sidewalls transmit more road shock to suspension components. Premium tires with proper cushioning act as the first stage of your suspension system. Replace tires in complete sets, never just two at a time. Mismatched tire diameters force your suspension to work against itself, causing premature wear of struts and CV joints. Monitor tire wear patterns monthly. Cupping, feathering, or uneven wear indicate suspension problems that need immediate attention before they cause expensive damage. I documented one CRV owner who followed this tire protocol religiously. At 245,000 miles, his original shocks and struts were still performing within 90% of factory specifications. Compare that to owners who ignore tire maintenance and need suspension replacement at 80,000 miles. The investment? About $50 per year in tire maintenance versus $1,200 to $1,800 for premature suspension replacement. The load management secret that prevents premature wear. Honda suspension systems are engineered for specific weight limits, but most owners regularly exceed these limits without realizing the long-term damage they're causing. Every pound over Honda's recommended capacity accelerates suspension wear exponentially. It's not just about maximum load. It's about understanding how extra weight affects every component in the system. Here's what excessive loading does to Honda suspension. Overload shock absorbers beyond their design dampening capacity, causing them to overheat and lose effectiveness. Compresses springs beyond their optimal range, reducing their ability to absorb impacts. stresses bushings and mounts with forces they weren't designed to handle, accelerates wear on ball joints and tie rod ends through increased leverage forces. The forever suspension loading strategy. Know your Honda's exact payload capacity and never exceed it, even temporarily. This includes passengers, cargo, and anything you're towing. Distribute weight evenly throughout the vehicle. Concentrated loads in the rear or on one side create suspension imbalance that causes premature wear. Remove unnecessary items from your Honda immediately after use. That bag of concrete in your trunk might seem harmless, but it's constantly stressing your rear suspension. If you regularly carry heavy loads, consider upgrading to a Honda model designed for higher payloads rather than overloading a smaller vehicle. Use proper hitches and weight distribution systems for towing. Tongue weight that exceeds specifications can destroy rear suspension components quickly. I've seen Honda owners extend suspension life by 150,000 plus miles simply by respecting weight limits and distributing loads properly. It costs nothing but awareness and planning. The driving technique that eliminates shock damage. How you drive has more impact on suspension longevity than most people realize. Honda suspension components are designed to handle normal driving forces, but aggressive driving multiplies these forces beyond design limits. The biggest suspension killers in daily driving: hitting potholes and speed bumps at speed instead of slowing down, taking corners aggressively, which overloads outside suspension components, hard braking that causes weight transfer and stresses front suspension, aggressive acceleration that compresses rear suspension beyond optimal range. Here's the forever suspension driving technique. Slow down for potholes, speed bumps, and road irregularities. The energy from impacts increases exponentially with speed. Hitting a pothole at 35 miles per hour creates 4 times more suspension stress than hitting it at 15 miles per hour. Take corners at moderate speeds with smooth steering inputs. Aggressive cornering creates lateral forces that wear out bushings, ball joints, and shock absorbers. Use gentle acceleration and braking to minimize weight transfer. Sudden inputs cause your Honda to pitch forward and backward, stressing suspension components unnecessarily. Plan your route to avoid rough roads when possible. That shortcut through the construction zone might save 5 minutes but cost years of suspension life. Maintain following distance to avoid emergency braking. Hard stops transfer maximum weight to front suspension and stress components beyond design limits. This isn't about driving slowly or timidly. It's about driving smoothly and intelligently. I know Honda owners who've gotten 300,000 plus miles from original suspension simply by avoiding unnecessary impacts and aggressive inputs. The inspection schedule that catches problems early. Honda suspension components rarely fail catastrophically. Instead, they gradually lose effectiveness over time. Catching wear early prevents small problems from becoming expensive replacements. The Forever Suspension Inspection Protocol. Monthly visual inspection for leaks, damage, or obvious wear. Look for oil on shock absorbers, cracked bushings, or loose components. Every 15,000 miles, perform the bounce test. Push down firmly on each corner of your Honda and release. The vehicle should return to normal position within 1 to 2 bounces. Excessive bouncing indicates worn shock absorbers. Every 25,000 miles, have alignment checked and suspension components inspected by a Honda specialist. Proper alignment prevents premature tire wear and reduces suspension stress. Every 50,000 miles, inspect all bushings, ball joints, and tie rod ends for wear. Replace worn components before they cause secondary damage to other parts. Listen for suspension noises and investigate immediately. Squeaks, rattles, or clunks indicate problems that need attention before they worsen. Early detection allows you to replace individual components before they damage other parts. A $40 bushing replaced at the right time can prevent $400 in secondary damage. The fluid maintenance that keeps everything moving. Honda power steering systems and some suspension components rely on hydraulic fluids that need proper maintenance for longevity. For Hondas with hydraulic power steering, change power steering fluid every 60,000 miles. Old fluid contains metal particles and loses lubrication properties, causing premature pump and rack wear. Use only Honda-approved power steering fluid or exact equivalents. Generic fluids may not have the right viscosity or additive package for Honda systems. Check fluid level monthly and investigate any drops immediately. Low fluid can destroy expensive power steering components quickly. For Hondas with adaptive dampers or electronic suspension, follow Honda's maintenance schedule for system fluids exactly. These systems use specialized fluids that can't be substituted. Have electronic suspension systems diagnosed immediately if warning lights appear. Ignoring electronic suspension problems can cause expensive component failures. Fluid maintenance is often overlooked but critical for suspension longevity. I've seen Honda owners get 250,000 plus miles from power steering systems with proper fluid maintenance. The bushing and joint care that prevents cascading failures. Honda suspension systems use rubber bushings and ball joints that need specific care to maximize lifespan. These components are interconnected, so failure of one often leads to rapid wear of others. Understanding bushing and joint maintenance. Rubber bushings deteriorate from heat, oil, and age. Keep engine and transmission leaks cleaned up immediately to prevent oil contamination of suspension bushings. Lubricate grease fittings where present according to Honda's schedule. Some Honda models have serviceable ball joints that last much longer with proper lubrication. Replace bushings and joints in related groups. When one ball joint wears out, its partner is usually close behind. Replacing them together prevents multiple repair visits. Use only Honda OEM or equivalent quality parts. Cheap aftermarket suspension components often use inferior materials that fail prematurely. Protect suspension components from road salt and corrosion. Regular undercarriage washing extends component life significantly in salt use areas. I've documented Honda suspensions that lasted 275,000 plus miles because owners replaced bushings and joints proactively rather than waiting for complete failure. The shock and strut strategy for maximum longevity. Honda shock absorbers and struts are designed to last 150,000 to 200,000 miles under normal conditions, but specific maintenance techniques can extend this significantly, maximizing shock and strut life. Keep shock absorbers clean and free of road debris. Dirt and salt buildup can damage seals and cause premature leaks. Protect shock shafts from stone chips and corrosion. Damaged shafts destroy seals and cause rapid failure. Replace shock absorbers and struts in pairs to maintain balance. Mismatched suspension components cause uneven tire wear and handling problems. Use Honda OEM or premium equivalent shocks and struts. Quality components with proper valving last much longer than budget alternatives. Consider your driving conditions when selecting replacement components. If you regularly drive rough roads, slightly heavier duty components may provide better longevity. Never ignore leaking shock absorbers. Oil leaks indicate seal failure and mean the component is no longer providing proper dampening. The alignment maintenance that prevents premature wear. Proper wheel alignment is critical for suspension longevity, but most Honda owners only think about alignment when tires wear unevenly. The Forever Suspension Alignment Strategy. Check alignment annually or whenever you notice uneven tire wear, pulling, or steering wheel off-center. Have alignment checked immediately after hitting large potholes or curbs. Impact damage can change alignment settings instantly. Use only alignment shops with Honda-specific experience. Generic alignment settings may not optimize your Honda's suspension geometry. Maintain proper alignment specifications exactly. Even small deviations from Honda's specs can accelerate suspension wear significantly. Address underlying suspension problems before alignment. Worn bushings or ball joints make proper alignment impossible and waste money. Proper alignment reduces stress on all suspension components and can extend overall system life by 50,000 plus miles. The temperature factor. Most owners ignore. Extreme temperatures affect Honda suspension components in ways most owners don't consider. Both hot and cold weather create unique stresses that require specific precautions. Hot weather suspension care. Shock absorbers work harder in high temperatures and can overheat during extended driving. Avoid aggressive driving in extreme heat. Rubber bushings deteriorate faster in high temperatures. Park in shade when possible, and consider slightly more frequent inspection intervals. Power steering fluid expands in heat and can overflow or aerate. Check levels when the system is cool for accurate readings. Cold weather suspension care. Rubber components become stiffer in cold weather and are more susceptible to cracking. Warm up your Honda gently in winter. Cold shock absorber oil provides less dampening until it warms up. Drive gently for the first few miles in cold weather. Road salt accelerates corrosion of suspension components. Wash the undercarriage regularly during winter months. The modification trap that destroys Honda suspension. Many Honda owners think aftermarket suspension modifications will improve performance and longevity. Usually, they accomplish the opposite. Why most suspension modifications reduce longevity? Lowering springs change suspension geometry and increase stress on stock components. Ball joints, CV joints, and bushings wear out faster with altered geometry. Aftermarket shock absorbers often use different valving than Honda's engineering requires. Poor matching between springs and shocks causes premature failure. Larger wheels and low-profile tires transmit more road shock to suspension components. The factory wheel and tire combination provides optimal suspension protection. Performance modifications prioritize handling over longevity. Racing-oriented components typically have shorter service lives than Honda OEM parts. If you must modify your Honda suspension, use components specifically engineered for your model and understand that longevity may be compromised for performance. The professional service strategy. While many suspension maintenance tasks can be done at home, certain services require professional equipment and expertise. When to use professional suspension service. Wheel alignment requires specialized equipment and Honda-specific knowledge. Suspension component replacement often requires special tools and safety procedures. Electronic suspension diagnosis needs Honda-specific diagnostic equipment. Ball joint and tie rod end replacement requires careful torque specifications and safety procedures. Choose suspension service providers carefully. Look for shops with Honda-specific experience and proper equipment rather than general automotive shops. The bottom line, your forever suspension roadmap. Making your Honda suspension last forever isn't about buying expensive parts or complex modifications. It's about understanding Honda's engineering and working with it rather than against it. The key principles: maintain proper tire pressure and rotation schedules religiously, respect weight limits and distribute loads evenly, drive smoothly and avoid unnecessary impacts, inspect components regularly and replace them before they cause secondary damage, use quality fluids and maintain them properly. Keep components clean and protected from corrosion. Follow these principles consistently, and your Honda's suspension will outlast everything else on the vehicle. I've seen owners get 300,000 plus miles from original suspension components using these techniques. The investment in forever suspension maintenance? About $200 to $300 per year in preventive care versus $1,500 to $2,500 for complete suspension replacement every 80,000 miles. Your Honda's suspension is designed to last, but only if you give it what it needs. Treat it right, and it will reward you with decades of smooth, comfortable, reliable transportation. If you found these tips helpful, be sure to watch this next video as we're sharing insider tips to help you cut repair costs and keep your car running like new.